This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, well, welcome NFL football fans, and thanks for joining us on what we're going to call a new venture here. It's called the K&D NFL Picks Show. That's what we're calling it for now. But my friend and I thought it'd be fun to kind of walk through our expert picks for this week's NFL wildcard games. So there's a K and a D. So who is K? Well, that'll be one of my favorite Twitter peeps, Ms. Kimberly Moten from Cherokee County, Alabama. Welcome, Kimberly. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. And, I guess that makes me the D of the K and D, and I'm Dave, or Longhorn Dave. Many of you know me on Twitter at LHD on sports. I'm really a fan of all sports. I'm from Houston, Texas. I like NFL, I like college football, the Texans, the Longhorns, a bit of an Astros fan, so I'm a bit of an outcast in that regard. But I keep my blog and talks neutral. The good news is that both Kim and I sports teams or NFL teams aren't in the playoffs. So we are completely unbiased at this point.
Yep.
So Kim, tell me a little bit more about yours. So what are your favorite sports teams? Maybe one that won a title like 48 hours ago.
Oh, Georgia. Yes, Georgia is like my favorite college football team. Of course, I live in Alabama, and in Alabama, they think once you're born in Alabama, you're supposed to either be an Alabama or Auburn fan. I chose different. Around 13 years old, I fell in love with Georgia, watched one game and completely fell in love with them. Been with them ever since. I also have family from Georgia, so it's like I know a lot about Georgia as well. So, yes, so Georgia's my favorite college football team. I was so excited we finally won the national championship against Saban. Everyone knows it's hard to beat Saban, but we did it, and I'm just so tickled and excited, and I hope there's more to come.
Absolutely. I think, Georgia's been right there near the title for a few years now, and, clearly was their time. They had the best team all year, and they proved it on Monday.
Yes, they did.
What other sports are your favorite sports, and what are your favorite teams?
Let's see. For NFL, I love Carolina Panthers. We did not have a good season. I don't know when it's gonna get better. I hope it's gonna get better, but there's so much work to do. Need some improvement on the O-line. Need offensive coordinator. So it may be a couple of years before we see Carolina back to what we used to know. NBA. I'm all over for NBA. Like, it just depends. Like, I'm more of a favorite player. Like, my favorite player, Dwayne Wade, when he retired, I kind of just ventured off. And I still like the Phoenix Suns. I still think they're going to get back to the Western Conference Finals against Golden State Warriors. I just see that. So that's what I'm hoping for. Especially with Klay Thompson being back and everything. So I'm excited to see the NBA, how everything's going to mesh out. The East is very surprising because I didn't know Chicago Bulls would have like the number one seed in the East right now, and they're pretty good. So I am excited for NBA as well to see what teams are going to be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I follow the NBA a little bit. The Rockets are clear rebuilding mode, but the Nets are a team of interest to me. Of course, they have James Harden, who used to be on the Rockets, as well as Kevin Durant, my Longhorn man, as well as LaMarcus Aldridge joined up there. So cheer for them a little bit, but it's going to be a good NBA season. But of course, we're not here to talk about the NBA. We're going to run through the NFL playoffs. 6 big games this weekend, starting Saturday, going all the way through Monday for a Monday night football game, which is going to be fun. In some ways I mind, some ways I don't mind. Sometime you have to do a completely other show on whether the college football should be on a Monday night or not, as I know you have an opinion, and I've retweeted that many times. But we'd like to give you all some of our thoughts on keys to the game, just off the cuff, and who we think is going to win. So we'll take turns going first. I'm going to put you on the spot first for. First game is Las Vegas and Cincinnati at Cincinnati. So you have a Las Vegas team that had a thrilling win last Sunday, or was it? Yes, last Sunday, wasn't Monday. The Cincinnati team is just not that experienced in the playoffs. What do you think is going to happen this game?
I think that is like a toss-up game because it could go either way. Raiders, I was very shocked. I truly thought the Chargers were going to get in, and I had picked them to win that game Sunday, and they didn't. So to me, it's a toss-up. Cincinnati has looked great. They won their division, which I thought Cleveland Ravens were going to win that division. I was wrong about that. So, but I'm going to have to go with, in my heart, I feel like Cincinnati will win. I think Joe Burrow has looked good, amazing. They have looked amazing compared to last year. So I'm gonna go with Cincinnati because I trust Joe Burrow more than I trust Derek Carr. I know Derek Carr is more experienced, but I think I'm gonna go with Cincinnati on that pick.
But so I'm gonna call you. What's your final score pick?
I'm gonna say I think it's gonna be close. I'm gonna say 31-24.
All right, write this down. No, yeah, you covered a lot of key points that I see in this game. One is you have a Cincinnati team that I saw a funny tweet. I imagine it's true, but nobody has ever texted their friend that Cincinnati has won a playoff game because that's been how long it's been since Cincinnati won a playoff
Yes,
game.
it's been like probably since Marvin Lewis, I believe. It's been a long
I think it
time.
was maybe the Sam Weish era, like 19.
Oh wow.
Like Marvin would get there, and then the Texans would beat him. But so it's been a long time for Cincinnati. This
Yes.
it feels like a different Cincinnati team. If you look at Joe Burrow, of course, he was playing well last year, got injured, and he came back, and he's really improved over the year. So that's what you want to see, right?
He did.
Improving. By the end of the year, playing some of their best football. You touched on the fact that was a really tough division. You think about the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers. There was it's not like some of these other divisions which I'll talk about where you have a winner that you look and say, well, they didn't really play anybody in their division.
Yeah.
They came out on top with like a week to spare. The last week I'll throw out because they kind of had their position wrapped up. Vegas, I'm tempted to pick them. Like you said, I think it's going to be pretty close. The point spread's 5.5, so right between that field goal and touchdown. I kind of want to say, maybe Vegas rides that momentum from this week, but maybe that just takes it out of them, and really,
Yeah.
If you look on paper, I'm going to have to go Cincinnati. I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be something like 24-21, I'll say, for Cincinnati, because I think I went back and forth on this game. I said, no, one way, none the other. But really, at the end of the day, Vegas, talent-wise, and Cincinnati may be a little more rested too, because they were able to really kind of drift last week, whereas Vegas poured their hearts out in that overtime. All right. So next game, New England Buffalo. I think it's going to be minus 20 degrees. Who cares? Like, I would be at home we're from the South. We'll sit in our warm living rooms and watch the game.
Right.
And so to be fair, I'll go first this time. That way, it's not like me just building off you every time. So this is a really intriguing game because you have, of course, a New England team, rookie quarterback Mack Jones that hasn't been there before. Of course, Belichick has. They really, I think, surprised some people this year. I think people thought Buffalo would win by a handful of games, but it kind of came down to the last week, although it didn't really. And then you have a Buffalo team that hasn't, has been in the playoffs a couple years now. So Josh Allen has a little bit of playoff experience and it's looked good. He's pretty much carrying that team. And so that's what worries me. And so I'm going to go with New England in this pick because I think Belichick's going to come up with some defensive schemes that's going to confuse Allen. And if he's able to get him a little off balance, they don't really have a strong rushing game outside of Allen. If they can pressure Allen, find ways to get him uncomfortable, and then do those New England things like Mack Jones can do, where they don't even have to pass much with them. They can do some other schemes. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it'll be close, but I'm going to go with New England, something like 21-17. Then I'm going to go with New England in an upset. Yeah.
I chose the opposite. I went with the Bills. I don't trust Matt Jones. The way they looked last week against Dolphins kind of made me like, I don't know. And so, like you said, with Matt Jones being a rookie, this is his first playoff game. I kind of went towards Buffalo Bills just because I feel like I trust Josh Allen more and his team to get it done. So I'm going to go with Buffalo Bills, but I do agree that I think it will be close. I think it's going to be 27-24.
Yeah, that's where I struggle was that newness to the playoffs can be difficult, for a rookie quarterback.
Yes.
Now, much to Georgia's demise, Mack Jones is an experienced pressure game quarterback. He's played a lot of big games. He had a successful season, but there were some parts that he looked a little confused. And so my hesitation
Yes.
was, is he going to be able to step up? Do they need him to step up? That's the question. And I mean, I could see this being a Buffalo blowout pretty quick because, like you said, they didn't look that good against Miami last week.
True.
But I'm gonna. I don't like Belichick, but I'm gonna trust Belichick that he's gonna have something up his sleeve. He's always got something.
That is
Up
true.
his cutoff sleeve, that is. That's one of the more intriguing games this week for sure. All right, so next game, and that game was I guess Buffalo's favored by 4 points. So you had it, about 3 points. Both of us think New England's going to keep it closer than they think for a win. Next game, Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. So no introduction needed here for Tampa Bay, defending Super Bowl champions. Really, really strong home team, and then you got a Philadelphia team that's visiting. You get to go first this time.
Oh, this game kind of surprised me because Philly brought it on in the end because at first I didn't know if they were going to make the playoffs. So I was kind of like, and so when they made it, I was just like, oh, they did. But even though I'm not a big fan of Tom Brady, I can't go against the GOAT. So I chose Tampa Bay by 2 touchdowns, so 28-14.
14. All right. Yeah, to me, this was probably the least. I have the least doubt about this one. I mean, Tampa Bay is such a good team. I felt like it was interesting last year. They were figuring things out first half of the year. Of course, you had COVID,
Yes.
and there was a bunch of crazy things about 2020, but they didn't really get it together. Then they hit this stride towards the end of the year where they just really looked like the best team, and they were. You happened to go on the road, all the playoff games, until the Super Bowl, ironically. They got to play at home. But they clearly went to the best team. They had the best defense, et cetera. This year, it's almost like they started and it was too easy. They were just blowing people out. That opening game against the Cowboys was really entertaining. And they were just going through, hitting, okay, we're doing this. And then they seemed to scuffle a little bit. Maybe almost like, injuries were part of it, right? Especially on defense.
Yes.
And some key offensive weapons. And they kind of bogged them down. And then the second half, they didn't look like the same team, and you started to have some questions. But Gronk had a good week last week.
He did.
Think this just like some of those New England teams, they were their own worst enemy. They would get a little complacent, a little bit. Alabama can get that way in college football, right? Like when they lose, it's because they got complacent. Well, sometimes it's other teams.
Right.
But to look at this team, they're going to be at home for what most of the playoffs, except maybe if they have to go to Green Bay. This Philadelphia team, God bless them. They tried hard. They won several games at the end. They really haven't beat a lot of good teams. They're not going to go into Tampa and win.
No.
I kind of like your final score of 28-14. I had it. I'll for the sake of variety, I'll say something like 31-17. I think it's going to be at least 2 touchdowns. The line is 8.5. So it wasn't. It's not quite the largest point spread. We'll get to that one in a minute. But I think one that's going to be pretty much out of hand. That'll be the first game on Sunday, so we can move on with our day to the next game, which is a really interesting matchup with the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. Longtime rivalry. I remember where I was. You probably may or may not have been born yet when Dwight Clark caught that pass from Joe Montana. I grew up amongst Cowboys fans just from being in Texas, and they were, of course, America's team, and that was kind of the end of the Tom Landry era. And then, of course, they went on to play so many great matchups in the Troy Aikman, Steve Young era, where they would just go back and forth which one would win that year.
Yeah.
And then whoever kind of won that game would then go on to win the Super Bowl. And so this is completely different teams. Neither of these teams has had recent success in the playoffs. But both of them are pretty loaded with talent, have some interesting quarterback situations. So my thought is, I'm not sure what to do with Dallas. There's times that I thought they looked like the best team. If you look at their offensive weapons, if when healthy, especially the skill position players, to me, they're the best. But the problem is that their offensive line is just not played up to par. And so you got Dak Prescott running around. If you give him time, he's going to find CD Lamb and those guys. But without that, he hasn't looked the same. So, I want to say that they're gonna win comfortably. I'm not sold on San Francisco. I don't know about Jimmy Garoppolo's health. They kind of looked shaky last week. I mean, they won, but and Garoppolo wins more often than not. It's a most intriguing game. I don't think Dallas gives as much of a home field advantage as some other cities. So I'm tempted to say it's gonna be at the end, but Dallas looked really good last week in a game that they really didn't have to step up, but they really did, and they may have all their weapons back. So I'm going to go Dallas relatively comfortably, something like 28-17. I think the Cowboys move on and tease all their fans at least one more week. So, you take?
See, I think San Francisco is going to be the team that nobody wants to play, and so I think they're going to pull it off and win. I just don't. I mean, everyone says Dallas look good, and they do, but I can't trust them.
Right.
So, and I feel like, 49ers had that momentum from last week because they were down. I mean, I was shocked that they came back and won, and I feel like they're going to take it on into this playoff game, and I honestly see them pulling off the upset and beating Dallas.
Okay.
So, I would say score-wise, I'm going to keep it close. I'm going to say it's going to be 28-21. 49ers winning.
49ers. Yeah, that would not surprise me at all. Like, I love George Kittle. Might be one of my favorite players. The way he plays, like with passion,
Yes,
blowing guys up.
and Deebo Samuel showed out last week, so I expect him to have another big game when they play.
They're going to need guys like Deebo and Kittle to step up to relieve some of the pressure on the quarterback and get a running game going. And then it would not surprise me at all if they won. Particularly the way Dallas has just been Jekyll and Hyde this year. And some questions about their coach's effectiveness in the playoffs. But that's probably the most interesting game to me. New England Buffalo.
I agree. It is the most
that one are the two that I'm like, okay, circle my calendar. It's going to be the late window on Sunday, or the afternoon window, I should say, which is always one of the best times to watch football as you're settling into the evening hour. Then brings us to the Sunday night game, which is Pittsburgh and Kansas City. So what a crazy week for Pittsburgh. They had the miracle to get in the playoffs and almost a tie. After they pulled it 2 overtime games. You've got the Roethlisberger story. Is he going to retire? Is he not? You've got this Kansas City team that also nobody wants to play. So you get to go first on this one. Pittsburgh and KC. Who do you got?
I can't go against Kansas City Chiefs. Pittsburgh looked good last week. I'm going to give them that. But I cannot go against Patrick Mahomes and their offense. I feel like, they're ready for this. I mean, they probably hated how the Super Bowl ended last year, and I feel like they're going to be on the run to get back to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to stick with the Chiefs. I just can't go against Patrick Mahomes and his weapons that he have. And I feel like Pittsburgh don't have enough offensive power to beat them. The defense is there, but I just don't trust the offensive power, even though they have Big Ben. So I'm just going to stick with Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think they were going to win comfortably 31-17.
17. It is. Kansas City seems like it's definitely the media darling. Everybody, Kansas City. I was shocked that they didn't get the home field, right? That Tennessee was able to swoop in. And that's a concern I have with Kansas City is they're just been a little bit, they started the year, they stumbled out of the gate. Perhaps it's some of that complacency, right? And Mahomes is a little sloppy with the ball. They also just didn't look the same on offense. And then by the end of the year, it looked like they changed their format. No longer the big play, try to find Tyreek Hill downfield, but these long drives, their first scoring drive last week was some 12, 14 plays. I lost track. They just kill you. And of course they have Kelsey as just the ultimate weapon to try to to stop him. If you put a small guy on him, he's too big. If you put a big guy on him, he's too fast. So yeah, I'm definitely going the Chiefs. I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh gave him a fight though, because the whole Ben Roethlisberger thing, the Najee Harris is a good running back
Yes.
that has come on. They got 1,000 yards as a rookie. That's a pretty challenging thing, particularly on an offense that's not that prolific. Their defense
Right.
is great. It'll be interesting. The TJ Watt matchup versus Mahomes is going to be able to get some pressure on him, maybe disrupt him. That will be
Yes.
something to watch too. So I think it's going to be close. I can't pick against Kansas City in Kansas City. Similar to the Vegas story, where they really poured their hearts out last week. Was that it? Was that all that?
Right.
How could they possibly muster up enough energy to go this week into Kansas City and beat a Patrick Mahomes,
Exactly,
a two-time AFC defending champion? So, but I think it'll be close. I think it'll be the only way Pittsburgh can stay in it is low scoring. They're not going to be able to go up and down the field. So I think they may disrupt Mahomes a little bit. I'm going to go something like 21-20. I'll say 21-20 Kansas City. So really close. That this point spread was the largest, 12.5. So nobody's given Pittsburgh
wow.
a chance. So if I was to go to Vegas, I would probably bet on Pittsburgh, and I might even take the money line just in case something happens. I'm not a betting man, but even though I'm having a whole show about picking games. So close game, but I think Kansas City is probably going to come out on top. So last game will be Monday night out west, Arizona versus the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, the crazy Rams-Niners game last week.
Yes.
Ended shockingly. Arizona has looked a little shaky, so this is my turn to go first. This was intriguing in that I think this is going to be perhaps the weakest home crowd. The LA football crowd's a little bit laid back. They're not as, we're not talking Kansas City or Tampa or Buffalo or Cincinnati. So I don't feel the home field advantage is that big a deal in this particular game. I think the teams are evenly matched. So I started to lean towards Arizona, but they just haven't. They started off so good, last undefeated team.
Yeah.
They've had so many injuries that even if some guys are coming back, it's not that big a deal. Kyler Murray's a great quarterback, but that's a fierce defensive line. So I have to go with the Rams. Of all these games, I think the winner of this game has the least amount of chance to win next week. I think these are two teams I'm just not overwhelmingly sold on. I like Matt Stafford. I'm glad he's in a winning situation. He deserves to play in the playoffs. But to your point earlier, if you're looking at playoff experience, he doesn't have a lot. Kyler doesn't have a lot. So I'm going to go the Rams. If I was, I almost say I'm least interested in this game, but I'm having trouble finding a long-term pick here. But I'll say Rams, something like 24-21.
I struggled with this game. I think out of all the picks, I struggled with this one the most, just because you have Arizona, who we said start off great, then injuries happen, and then you have the Rams over here, who seems like they have everything, but when it comes down to it, it's like, can you trust Stafford? Because he made that costly pick last week,
right?
And so, but same can be same for Kyler. So this game was like, I struggled so hard to pick, but I just feel like Arizona's going to pull it off and win.
Yeah.
I can see them winning this game with either team, but I mostly could just see Arizona just because, like I said, with the Rams, they got the power, got the offense gurus, got Beckham, got Cub, Sonny Michelle, and then you got Arizona, who got injured players, but they can make some plays and get the win. So I feel like Arizona's going to win.
And you score?
I'm going to say 21-14. I think it's going to be a close game.
Close, low scoring. Yeah, both of us didn't have that one too high scoring. Yeah, I should have mentioned Cooper Kupp, who had an amazing year, record-breaking year. Pair him with Stafford, like you said, Sony Michelle, some real weapons there. I think I read that the Rams not even brought Eric Weddle this week, so they're a little banged up.
Yes, they brought him in.
Yeah, that's a sign that there may be some chinks in that armor for their defense, and I think is it a case of where Arizona could really pull it together for a game or even two? If they were to win, I'd give them a better chance next week against, presumably Tampa Bay, Dallas, Green Bay, whoever comes out, than I would some of the other teams. And so, I'm not surprised. There's not a lot this weekend that would surprise me. So I think we're in for a lot of fun to watch this week. So final take here. I don't want to get too far ahead, but if you had to take all the teams right now and where they're positioned, what would be your AFC and NFC championship game pick? Start with the AFC to include Tennessee. Who do you think is going to be the final two there?
Kansas City Chiefs versus Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that's the 1 and 2 seeds. I'm not sure about Tennessee, and I touched on it early, but look at some of the divisions. Kansas City played in a lot tougher division than like Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee got to beat up on the Jaguars and Texans, although the Texans beat them once. Then like you look at the Cincinnati, the AFC North, they'd all beat each other up. I have some concerns about the NFC North in that regard too. You have Green Bay, who look like the best record, but did they really play the same caliber of teams as a division like the West, where you had even Seattle was the worst team, but they were still pretty good because the other three teams all made the playoffs. I'm going to say that I think we're going to be stuck with. I think it's going to be like New England and Kansas City in the championship game. I think at Tennessee next week, and like I said, so I might be out, but by Saturday night, New England might be out of the contest, but unfortunately, I think Kansas City's going to win that game, but we'll get there in a couple weeks. So NFC side, tough to pick. I'm going to go against Green Bay because I've just mentioned that I get to go first this time, and I'm going to be stuck with Tampa Bay because here we are with Brady again, and I'll say Tampa Bay and Dallas are going to play in that game. But I think Dallas may figure it out. Your picks?
I'm going to go with Green Bay and Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's probably the matchup that everyone wants, seeing everything, Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, meeting up again. So I'm going to go with your pick because I agree, Tampa Bay versus Green Bay.
Yep. Cool. Well, thanks for joining me. We'll try to do this again next week. I've got a vacation plan, so I mean, that work out. But
it's all good.
Yeah, but it's fun to chit chat about some football. We'll post this somewhere and see if everybody watches it. But it was enjoyed it, and thanks for everybody for watching.